Good morning or afternoon. Should I just say good day? Could be evening. In any case, I am going to share today a little bit on how lessons go using McGUFFEY'S. Now, there are a variety of things that I do with these lessons, and it's not just reading. Alright, so special attention to the words in these reading lessons, because it really makes sense to understand, for the child to understand the words that they are reading in the lesson. Now, in these books, especially at this level, the material gets very progressive quickly during certain points, and so this is not something you go through and just read every day and keep turning the page. That's why it's recommended. This is let's see, I want to say third, fourth, fifth grade level. Yeah, that's what this one is recommended for. So it's going to take them quite a while to get through here. And yeah, the works are they're very thorough, very detailed. Like I said, it's not like your basic chapter book or a reader where you just read and keep going, which most people use them that way, and hence we're bored. There are so many ways to use these. That's why I recommend, when I shared the curriculum video of what we're using, I recommend that you all get the study guide, the teacher guide. Even though it is not written by William McGuffey himself, Ruth Beachick is awesome, and she went through and pulled out some things that are very helpful. And sometimes I reference just to be sure, but I'm so used to using this, and this was just before I actually open the book. This one, I just go ahead and do what I need to do, because I know what they're working on and I know what my focus is on. And it has to do with phonics. This has a lot to do with handwriting, letter formation, and things like that. So we do all sorts of things. I'm very choosy about the words. And what's in the teacher guide is just an added bonus, if in case you just are not really sure what to do with these books, or these for that matter, because I think most of you guys have these. We really don't use these, but we use these. So what I'm showing you here is coming from here. And I think I kind of talked about the difference between the two before. Obviously, look at you can see a huge difference, okay? These seem to be a little more slower paced and dumbed down, for lack of better term, but I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. So yeah, and there are more editions of these than these, okay? And that's just because they're not as detailed, and kind of rewritten, the revised edition. Anywho, but I did do a whole walkthrough, and that video is very popular. The whole walkthrough and detailed look of these. So you can look for that, or ask me in the comments and I will link it. I am going to do a detailed of this one sometime. But alright, so what I do, handwriting most of all. Now, if you have these and you are using these handwriting wise, okay, I have here. You can do this on notebook paper. You can do this if you know how to. You have Word docs or whatever. You can create this. Okay, it's nothing hard to do. You just enter in the cells and the colors or what have you. And actually, the younger kids have a different setup, and they have different colors. These guys started with blue, no, white, blue, and red. It's a whole different page setup, and they have progressed in their handwriting, so that's why they are now just on the 2 lines. If you want to see more in detail about the early ones, how I get them to write and their pages, leave me a comment. So basically what they are doing, oh, let me also say this. I have a lefty, so there's a different thing I do. My lefty is one of my younger ones, so it's different, but the different page also, it's fine for right-handers. It's just the way I write it, so it's a little bit different. But I have a little lefty and a little righty, so same page, but it's just the way I write things. It makes it a whole lot easier for the lefty, and it really does help with her handwriting because I'm right-handed, and it's very difficult to teach a child to write that is left-handed. I have one other left-hander. She taught herself how to read or write, so yeah, it's just a little bit easier. And I know it's very difficult to find left-handed handwriting material, so hence you have to create your own. But here, okay, what I do, I go through the lesson beforehand and pick out, let me find my lesson here, let's see, where are we? I pick out, okay, we're here, the Sailor Boys. And so you're going to get a reading lesson. And what they do, we do this together. I will have them, because these are numbered. The other books, the revised, are not numbered. So this makes it really easy. I'll say, okay, you read 1 and 2, 3 and 4, depending on how many parts. Usually there's only 8. As in this one, so we just flip-flop back and forth. Okay, and so here are questions. Okay, and words. And so some of these words, a lot of these words, they may know how to spell, they understand them. Okay, fine. Those I really don't focus on, but I try to pull words from each lesson if I can, even if they do know the meaning. Foremost, if I know they don't know the meaning, that word is going on this list, and they have to go get a dictionary after they write the word, after they copy it, so that they can understand what that word means, because when we read it in this text, they need to understand what they are reading. They already know, so they do the handwriting before we do the reading. Whether it's the same day or not. Some days they may do the handwriting, and then the next day we'll do the reading, and they remember, okay, that was one of our words that we had for handwriting or vocabulary. And so I go through here and I pick. Sometimes, let's see if I can find it. I'm sorry, I'm moving the camera. No, let's see, what did I do? Okay, we have unmerciful. Now, we have gone through mercy before, and that was on another list, but I put it back on here because now we have unmerciful, mercy, and merciful. Okay, so I threw that on there. We have meek and meekness, both on there, and those words are in here. I want to point out that this is 2 lessons, and so when they do this, because this is focused on handwriting, I usually only let them go to maybe 6, maybe 10 words, because I'm focused on handwriting. And I don't want them to become fatigued, okay? I put up a picture on Instagram probably a week or so, 2 weeks ago, and somebody was saying beautiful. They cannot wait for their child to be able to write this neat. Now, this is my handwriting, but they copy it, and now, because we've been doing this for so many years, their handwriting mirrors mine, and that's what I wanted. I do not like sloppy work. And so, if they only write one word that day, and the letters are in correct formation, great. Once I see a letter that is not in correct formation, meaning top, bottom, if it's shaky, I will make them stop. Just, okay, I see that you're tired, your hands are a little fatigued, let's just stop, and we'll pick this up the next day. I don't make them do the whole list because I don't want it sloppy. I don't want any erases, any of that. And in fact, in here, here we go, in the penmanship portion, you need to decide on the forms, be consistent, do not add curly cues, fancy styles, or later artistic. You're working on correct letter formation, and then there's some information on left-handed, things like that. So I'm very picky. Legibly, okay? Legibly. I'm very picky about legible handwriting on all of their work, whether they're writing papers or what have you. I think that is so important. If you cannot read it, they may do the best work, but if you cannot read it, what is the point? So, yeah. And so, let's see. Let's go back in here. Pick out the words. I just showed you. Sometimes there are words in here like ill-natured. I had to read through the lesson because ill-natured is not on the list, but I read through the lesson and I pick out things, that other words that I feel that are important. Now, they understand the word ill, but they might not always see ill-natured, even though that may be something that when I give them these words and they are writing papers on whatever, that's a good word to use. We like to have a variety of words. So that is the reason why I throw those type of words out there. And I think ill-natured is probably in the next lesson. That's where I saw it. Yeah, it's in here somewhere. But, let me see. I don't know. Let me see. I can't really field piece. Where did I stop? Sometimes I will mark exactly the lesson. I'll just put it in the margin which lesson it came from. But for the most part, it's just on the top. Here it is right here. And the reason why that happened is because I mismarked the lesson. Let's see. There we go. 1-1. Okay. So I kept going. There's ill-natured over there. Edward, which happens to be one of son's names. So, yeah. And then we got the meekness. You can see the Lord said, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain, and I have obtain on the list. Mercy, merciful, all that good stuff. Unmerciful, ashamed. Okay. Also what this does, let's see if I can point it out, and I'm not very good at moving this camera. You guys can pay attention. We have safely. This is one of those often misspelled words. S-A-F-L-Y. You're working on endings, your L-Y, your G-Ns. You're working on, let's see, right here, field and peace, I-E. Just a constant reminder, because those are words. Field, F-I-L-D, is probably how they would spell it. Peace, P-I-C-E, okay? So we're paying attention to digraphs and blends and, endings, beginnings, and things like that. The little ones are working on their blends. So in their words, we pay attention to that. I point those things out in these readings because, I feel it's important when you are teaching them. If you have blend cards or what have you. You're teaching them that. They need to be able to identify that in their readings, point it back out. Remember, we were working on SH, even if it's just a coloring sheet, SH. Look at here, the word has SH, SH. And so I always make that a point. So that these books, we do so much. It's not just one thing and we just keep moving. We read it and keep moving. Very, very complete. If I have them do this is copy work. If I have them, we're doing some dictation. We may do some narration. There's so much we can do using McGuffey's. Just a little portion. I do plan on sharing with you guys where these actually go. And this is work that I save. I don't mind saving this work. I don't, the little worksheets and things like that become a lot, especially when you have 4 in every day. But these things we can save, they can look back on. So I am going to show a progression over the past couple of years of, where they come from using this method and why it's so simple, stress-free. Everybody does it. It's simple. This takes a matter of a few minutes. They can write down, 5 or 6 words and they're done. We read the lesson. This is like 15 minutes maybe. Talk about it. And that's it. And they look forward to these lessons. There's no stress on this. They look forward to it. So, let me see. Is there anything else I want to point out? Let's see, what else did I put down here? This talks about shelling corn. So I have the word shelling. Now we use the word shucking, but from the country. So I threw in shelling, and they're shelling the corn, and I think shelling is one of the words. But when I saw it, I just said, I'm gonna throw in shelling because they want to know. Let's see if I saw shelling on here. No, yeah, there it is. Okay, all right, now let me turn you back to here. I threw in Cincinnati, of course, because that is a proper noun and it is a long word. Sometimes it talks about names in here. Edward, we don't need Edward because child's name is Edward, so yeah, he knows how to spell his name. But I will throw in the names in here so that yes. Something else I want to point out just briefly, but you'll see, this probably in, the later works. Context. Everything in here is in context. And when it gets to quotation marks, like now we're working a lot on quotation marks, I point out, look, quotation marks. Look how they're using the quotation marks. So this is your grammar right here. That's why I don't have to use any other grammar curriculum. Okay? It's all right here. This is a dialogue, okay? It's dialogues. And so they understand how to use quotation marks. And when they're writing their own work, it transfers. All right, so let's see over here. Sometime in here, she'll have them write like little paragraphs or something, if it's something about animals or, something about can you relate to that or something like that. But this is, it's a neat little guide. Okay, let's see. X, E. Okay, let's see. This says for this lesson. Okay, here we go, right here. Have the children skim to look for the word Cincinnati. Okay. Next, have them read rapidly and time them with a watch, which keeps seconds. Have them answer. Okay, I know what this is for Lexile. Have them answer the first 3 questions. These are the fact level questions which are answered in the story. How many words per minute did they read? By dividing the number of words, 305, by the time. Express the time in decimals. For instance, 1 1/2 minutes is 1.5. Each 5 seconds is about 0.08 of a minute. After the time reading, have the students read the selection again orally. So fluency, okay, this is a little tip. Now talking about speed, and that's what it looks like for the next couple of lessons. Over here, read Ephesians. Then there's some grammar. From paragraphs 4 and 5, list several verbs. Okay, that's another thing we do, that are past tense. So this is your grammar portion. You know, we work with past, present, and future with all of the kids. And so I pull from here. And like I say, sometimes I will use this little guide just to see if there's anything else. But I'm pretty detailed. Vocabulary. Let's see. This says, have the children skim for words that are unfamiliar to them. Study the use of an apostrophe. So, guys, I'm telling you, this is it. This is it. And getting this guide really can help you if you have no clue. But you don't need any other, you don't need any other curriculum. It is, biblical based, that's old school, and which is why they were so popular. Discuss why the boy was happy. They're going to study a paragraph. Let me see. Let me go back in here and spread root words. Okay, let me go back in here really quick before I end this and just look at the questions and see if there's anything like that sticks out. This woman was talking about being greedy. We talked about that. So these are good moral lessons. Okay. What is the lesson about? What did the little boy once say to his mother? Was this a beautiful idea? What do you suppose the stars are? Who made the stars? Do you suppose they stand still? So if you wanted to have them write these questions out, we discussed this orally, but you can have them answer. Okay, they can write. This can be your writing portion if you have nothing else to. If you just don't have any other ideas, so keep that in mind. But what I suggest is you write the questions and just let them answer rather than have them write everything, because that is a lot of writing. And try to keep it, basically a sentence, maybe 2 sentences. That's a lot of writing on a daily basis. I can see burnout. That's the reason why we just discuss rather than write them out. We do writing portion using longs and something else, but we do use McGuffey style. We do use McGuffey also. What did Charles wish to be? So you can flip that, and what do you wish to be? So comprehension. Okay, a lot of comprehension. So, but yeah, the Lexile, you're working on the fluency, which is why I say you cannot just race through these books every day, read a story, and that's it. Even with the little ones on the lower level, mainly when I get them reading, and I'm going to go into more detail on this, but punctuation is very important. And I talked about robot reading, okay? If your child is, and you're doing, there was a little boy, that is really not reading. They're calling words. When my kids are little and they have begun to move past, CVC words, I'm moving into the punctuation. Okay. I'm letting them know what the punctuation means, what that means. It's like a stop sign. The period is like a stop sign. When you read, you need to look at the sentence in front of you and read until you get to the period. That is the most important thing I can give you all in helping your children read, to keep them from robot reading. Read until you get to the punctuation. Okay? There was a little boy. Because they will stop, they will sputter, they will stumble, and that will not help their fluency, which is what Miss Beachick is trying to point out. You need their fluency up. It may take a child, I can see why it would take a child a couple years to get through here, because of their fluency. They may have to read this lesson over again over the course of a week. So if you have to use the same lesson for a week, that's fine. That's fine. You take your time in these readers. They should be able to read it paragraph for paragraph with no hang-ups, and if they cannot do that, then you repeat the lesson until they can. So that's just one of my tips. They need to know what the commas are, what the quotation marks and things like that are. So have them go through here. Can you point out the punctuation? Can you point out the capital letters? Can you point out the proper nouns? Can you point out the verbs, the adverbs, the nouns? This is it right here. This is it. Hopefully this has been helpful. You all need any have any questions? Leave me your questions, and I will